Human beings are still looking at the one God, the one this, the one that, and everything in the universe is not the one.
What is humanity missing?
Yeah, your mom also said that she's the one who led me to your page. The more you practice listening, like if I was to just go inward right now and listen to what they have to say. Right? So like one of them just said, she has the power, but she's afraid to lose control.
Hey, I have to be honest with you. I tried to let my spirit guides know I'm not afraid. They can come in. But I did hide after I said it. I yelled out, I'm not afraid. You can reveal yourself. And I threw my cover over like very quickly, just in case somebody showed up.
Yeah, that means you are scared.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome to an episode of Church of Anon, Confessions of a Pastor's Daughter. In case you do not know, I am Anon. This is my church. I started a spiritual journey in the beginning of 2024 after the passing of my mother in 2023, at the end of 2023. And along that journey, I have had incredible revelations, met some incredible people. But this is by far, I believe, probably the most interesting person I have met on my journey so far. I call him Ducky because we're friends, but you can call him Shaman Durek. Hi, Shaman. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Of course. Well, I want to start off by asking just the most profound question. What is a shaman?
A shaman is a person who is here to hold space for humanity, so that they can see their potential as well as the gifts that they have inside of them, to amplify them and to bring them out through certain tools and awarenesses, and by connecting people back to their core knowledge, their core roots, which connects to nature, ancestors, spirits, and who they are on a core level of what they're here to do and what they're here to create. And so a shaman's purpose is to bring that forth in the most easy and most efficient way.
Oh, I like that. Would you describe one word to describe, I don't want to say your journey as a shaman. One word to describe it.
One word to describe my journey. Surrender.
Why surrender?
Because in order to be a shaman, you have to let go of what you've been taught, what you understand about the world, what you understand about yourself and people. And you have to be open, and you have to be humble, and you have to be available to be invited by the spirits to enter into other dimensions of the spirit world to gain their knowledge. Not any preconceived ideas or any superimposed ideas that you may have of what you've been taught by the world about who they are, but a real communication, a real connection. And that requires a level of surrender. That requires you to let go and to be open and to have your heart open so that you always stay in that beautiful, reverent place.
Unlearning what we've learned as humans would be considered an ego death, would it not?
The ego to shamans is literally the part of your being that protects your narrative, protects your belief system about the world, and makes it real for you. So if a person thinks the world is a scary place, the ego will give them examples of them being right. If the people think that people are out to get them, the ego will then create ways for you to see that that's the case. So the ego, basically, it's not really, we don't want to die to our ego. We want to connect to the part of our ego that is operating at a higher dimensional level, where it's operating out of love and opening to all inclusiveness, not just protecting your container that you've created with your mind that the ego protects in the beginning. And then as you begin to develop your ego to raise to higher levels, that's when the ego allows you to be more inclusive and open to other people's ideas without being so defensive or combative. Because when you're in that state of fear, the ego protects your narrative. It protects what you believe to be true. And then as you expand it, the ego then allows other things to come in, and it allows you to grow and evolve and elevate even higher.
Oh, I love that. So when did you surrender? At what age did you surrender to your calling?
The act of surrendering is not just like one surrender and then it's over. It's continuous throughout my life. So my first time surrendering was when I was a kid, about 9 years old, about going into 10 years old. I started noticing at 8, and then 9 and 10 is when I really started like realizing I had to surrender to the first level. And then you go through your experiences, and then you surrender to the next level and the next level. And then it's like the key is, in order to be of service to people, you have to keep surrendering and keep letting go of whatever it is you're holding on to, so you can hold a bigger container for humanity.
One of my biggest things is I feel I am called to service the people, hold space for people. That is obviously my calling. I don't feel I've fully surrendered to it, but I am aware of it.
Awareness is a key. Awareness
Okay.
is the first awareness is the first level of recognizing that there's an aspect of surrendering coming up. The surrender part is letting go of the how, the what, and the why, and start letting it just naturally take you.
Is it selfish to say perhaps you may have wanted a different route in life? Perhaps you may have wanted something other than being a shaman. You wanted the universe to call you to something else. Would you consider that selfish? Because sometimes I feel the universe calling me to hold space for humans, I don't want to do it anymore. Is that a selfish thought to have?
There's no selfishness. It's about doing what brings you joy. I took a path where I walked away from shamanism for a little bit to experience different things like modeling and acting and dancing. And I did it, and it was fun, but it wasn't fulfilling me. I didn't get the full fulfillment. When I would walk the runways around the world, I would sit there and end up doing healing and supporting people. So I was like, oh, look at what I'm doing. And when I was shooting films, and doing movies and TV shows, I was doing the same thing. I was on the set. I remember one director told me there's one film that I did. He said to me, "Are you sure you want to be an actor? Because everyone on my set is crying. The FX people are crying. The makeup artists are crying. You have gone around and ruined the whole entire set. Why can't you just stay in your van and wait for your time to be called to do your scene?"
Right.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's true, right?" And he's like, "So is this really?" Because I can connect you to some really powerful people that can make you a really big actor because you're really good at it. But is this really what you want? And I said, it's so funny, but no, because that was my natural place to be, was to be of service. And if you feel tired from it, that's because you're not fulfilling yourself. You're not nurturing yourself. You're not giving to yourself, or you have expectations of what you want when you give it. So like if I went around wanting to be there for people and I don't see change, I could get discouraged, right? But I'm not here for the end game. I'm here to hold space and to create that space for people to grow. If they grow, that's up to them. If they don't grow, it's their choice. If they take my knowledge and throw it in the trash can, that's okay too. Or if they take my knowledge and use it and elevate, that's great too. But I'm not here to be like, oh, I'm going to take away what I love because of someone else's way of receiving it and utilizing it. One example of that was I had this celebrity client come in, and I told him things about what the spirits were telling me. And he got so angry at me, and he started yelling at me, and he got really upset, and he stormed out and told me, "I'm going to tell everyone in the media about you. Like, you're a fake, you're a phony."
Wow.
I've had like people do stories on me and said that I wasn't telling the truth. And then they found out that I was. If I would have taken that and been like, oh, why am I even doing that? No one appreciates me. No one sees what I'm doing, the energy that I'm putting into it. Then why am I doing what I'm doing? Just because you don't understand what's happening or you don't understand what's clicking in the moment doesn't mean that I am not who I am. And then this guy ended up coming back and apologizing. This newspaper reporter who did this was going to write this horrible story on me, found out that what I said about his grandfather, because when he spoke to his grandmother, she confirmed everything I said. But in the beginning, he was skeptic. He was angry. They were upset. I'm not here for whatever your reaction is. I'm
Mm.
here to be of service. My need for love and validation does not come from what I do for you. It comes already from my connection to my mother and father God and with myself. So if I'm not receiving that, acknowledging it, and supplying that for myself, then of course I'm gonna not want to do these things, because my feeling of self is always going to be dependent upon if people love me or if people hate
Hmm.
me. And when you choose to serve people, you have to not take any of that in, and you have to be true and authentic to who you are and not care what other people think.
How do you balance, because you're here to serve the people, if the people are not satisfied? How did you find balance in that? Because I know that was something you probably struggled with in the beginning. Like you said,
Yeah, in the beginning, I would took it personally, and then I would get hurt, and then spirit would come to me and say, "The only reason why you're suffering is because you're suffering in vain." And I go, "What do you mean I'm suffering in vain?" They're like, "You're suffering by your own hand, not by the hand of someone else. Someone else can do anything they want." The spirits told me they can act how they want, they can have bad behavior. It doesn't matter, but how you treat yourself is what matters. And so I realized, oh wow, so I'm creating my own pain based on other people's behavior. But if I stop making other people's behavior make me hurt myself, so they're not hurting me, I'm hurting me. And I had to look at that. I had to look at, like, where am I being abusive with myself? Where am I telling myself that I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing enough, or I'm not a good person because someone else claims that I'm not? Why don't I know my own authority? How come I
Oh,
don't know
wow.
the authority that God has already given me from the day I was born, which is I have been given the stamp of approval through my existence that God loves me? Why do I question it? Why am I
Yes.
questioning God's love for me? And that's when I realized that I can't do that anymore.
I love that. And I'm digesting everything you're saying. Like I said in the beginning, not only are you going to share your journey as a shaman, but I'm really hoping you help me with my spiritual journey. So I'm taking nuggets in as we go along. But
Okay, let's eat now.
I
Let's
know
eat.
I got to take it in, because this is all new to me, and this has been the most exciting journey for me. I've enjoyed the awakenings that I have experienced. I've enjoyed the revelations that I've experienced. I've enjoyed the different aspects of or broadening my spiritual horizons. I was raised in a very, very, very small box of religion. So I thought of God in one way, and that was
Yeah.
fear. That was fear. But as I ventured out, I see that I am God. I make my reality. There are higher powers. There are other beings amongst us. There are, and it blows my mind every time I have a conversation with somebody. And so when you first came in, when I first met you, and you said, well, I'm a shaman, I didn't have a clue what that meant. And so I went and looked it up,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, and then when you started talking about how your past lives, how far back do you think you could go in your
As far
past
as I
lives?
want to go.
Wow. Could you throw a couple of them out there? I know you had said that you were a pharaoh in one life.
I was the Oracle of Delphi. I was a
Wow.
concubine to the Emperor. I was a chancellor in Atlantis. I was a saber-toothed tiger. Yeah, I mean, I know so many of them. How much more
Wow.
would you like to
I mean,
know?
but how would you remember yourself as a saber-toothed tiger?
Because
Just
I know.
wow. Wow. So when you first met your spirit guides or your team,
When I was young.
yes, you said that one appeared to you and sat on your bed.
Yes.
Can you tell the chat about that experience, our listeners about that experience?
Yeah, so my sister had just had a baby, and I was young. I was sitting on a rocking chair, and I was holding this crystal in my left hand, and I kept charging the crystal's energy with my body, charging it with my body, charging it with my body. And then all of a sudden there was a woman sitting right next to me. And she said, "Hi." And I
Wow.
just freaked out and started screaming and ran down out the room, down the stairs, and down the street, and to the stop sign. And And then I slowly walked back to the house, and then she was always there. And then she was there in my life for a very long time. And then one day she came to me and she told me she was leaving because I no longer needed her, and that a new one would come in. And so first she was a woman that came in, and then it changed to another like being from another planet that came in and took its place. Its name was Olarian. And Larian has been with me and supporting me through my journey.
I have to be honest with you. I tried to let my spirit guides know I'm not afraid. They can come in. But I did hide after I said it. I yelled out, I'm not afraid. You can reveal yourself. And I threw my cover over like very quickly, just in case somebody showed up.
Yeah, then that means you are scared.
Yeah, and you know what you was telling us, that they won't present themselves if you're not ready. They won't present themselves, But I've only met 2 of my spirit guides so far, Michael and Blue. And when I say, because meeting you broadened my perspective of that. No, there's more than just 2. There's a whole team of them.
Yeah,
so I know
beyond what people can even understand.
So what is and I don't know if this is a stupid question. What's the largest team you've seen?
Let's see. The largest team I've seen has gone up to millions.
Wow.
But how much people are aware of has been more like, at the most I've seen people be aware of 20.
Wow.
Because people don't want to stretch their consciousness to those other levels that requires them to see the other ones.
Stretch their consciousness from a standpoint.
So like, for instance, that means like most human beings operate in this very like, I'm here, I have one spirit guide, I have another spirit guide. They don't understand that there are multiple levels of elevation, right? And so there's you, like you said in the beginning, you said, I am God and I'm creating all of that, right? Well, there's in that truth, yes, but the part that makes you God is the part that elevates all the way up through the many eternal dimensions that exist, right? In that very high place, there's that part of God that exists, right? That is infinite. And then through those many different layers of different levels, there's many other different aspects of God all the way until it gets to you. And so most people only go so high to connect with certain beings, that which they hear from books or what they hear from other people. They don't. And the thing is, what's happening on planet Earth is a lot of people just regurgitate the same information. They talk about chakras and Reiki and this and that and higher selves. And even just the idea of a higher self limits you from going up even higher, because you think a higher self is just one being that's your higher self. You don't realize that your higher self is a multidimensional being that exists in multidimensional levels of consciousness. And so it's not just one being, it's a multidimensional spectrum of many beings that communicate through all their voices and all their knowledge and wisdom multidimensionally into your being. And so human beings are still looking at the one God, the one this, the one that, and everything in the universe is not the one.
So because we're taught, especially in America, just one, we're not taught basically, poly, basically, there's more, there's multiple, we're mostly just taught just one.
Because that makes people feel safe.
Oh, yes. I can see that.
Because then they can quantify the one and then put the information as the one. What if they had 1 million? What would the 1 million be saying? Right? It's very confusing for people because human beings like to make things safe for themselves. But the more you expand out in consciousness, meaning expanding your consciousness and being open to the many different experiences that's available to you in the spirit world, you realize it's not just one, it's a multidimensional spectrum of many. And we've just dialed it down to one in order to feel safe. The one God. No, it's not one God. It's many gods as the one.
So I tried it too. I took a gummy bear and I was just sitting there. I was meditating, just being quiet. And all of a sudden it got loud like a newsroom. It was so loud. And that is why I'm on the same track of what you're saying. There are multiple. It sounded just like a loud newsroom.
Yeah. And the more you practice listening, like if I was to just go inward right now and listen to what they have to say, right? So like one of them just said, she has the power, but she's afraid to lose control. Another one says, she's very creative. She should be working with her hands.
Oh my goodness.
They said she can hear us, but sometimes she questions if it's her making it up or if it's us.
Yes, I do. I question that a lot.
Another one said, it would be nice if she'd be more playful and not take things so seriously.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Another one said, it would be wonderful if she would not play games when it comes to matters of the heart and just speak her truth. Like they all are talking to me. So I just listen to them. Like here, I'll listen to another one. It says, we love her so much, we want her to see her potential. They said that she listens to us in the dream world. They said, we want her to open herself up more and stop being afraid of losing control.
That's been the biggest thing for me. Control.
Another one said, we want to help her to expand her heart more, but she still has a fear of opening herself up to that level. Another one said she wants someone to come in who's very solid and speaks their truth and says exactly what they want so that she doesn't have to guess or wonder what they really desire.
Okay, tell them stop telling my business.
I mean, this is
they tell it all my business.
This is how they talk,
No,
right?
but
And
wow.
so I just sit and listen to them.
And so are you talking to multiple dimensions of me or my guides?
Let's find out. Everything and all.
I do know that there are multiple me's out there. I've talked to
Yes.
them. I've talked to them. They all have an attitude. I've talked to them. And
They said if that's what you want to believe.
and the thing is, I feel that I'm the odd one out.
Not quite. They said it depends how close the ones that you are talking to are more closer to your spectrum. There are ones outside that are further out in spectrum that don't respond the same way that you do.
But I'm open to them talking to me. I am really
see.
open.
Let's find out. They said that you're open to the ones when you're comfortable to listen to them. But when the other ones speak, that you spend more time contemplating there and almost like not fully believing, but contemplating. And that also can muddle the way in which you hear them.
For me, mental health was a big thing, especially where I grew up. It wasn't, everything felt like mental health, and so I didn't know.
Would you say that's because of your mother?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what they just said.
Yeah. I don't want to feel, crazy. And I don't
Yeah,
like using that word.
but they said
Yeah.
that that's not true. That's just what you're attributing it to. You're drawing comparisons that don't really match. You're trying to find like a pattern, and the pattern's not there, but you're afraid that it is, and you're scared that it might be there, and so
Absolutely.
you do all these things to try to subdue it, but there's nothing there. So you're just creating a story and then trying to work around that story.
I want to ask you this. You can
And
hear.
they said
Oh,
just
go ahead.
now you've never had a mental issue. The only thing they said that you have had has been anxiety and holding on to other people's emotions and energies and feeling responsible for it. And
Wow.
that's what causes you stress.
So that is, I'm just absorbing other people's. But
You
wouldn't
have
that,
been absorbing other people, especially when you were growing up. Yes.
but wouldn't that be the service to humans?
No. They said that any service that you do for humans should not cause pain or difficulty to you. The act of service should always be one of ease and grace, and one that operates where it actually benefits you, not hurts you.
Oh, okay. Someone in our listening chat just said observe, not absorb.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
I like that.
Exactly.
I like that.
Oh,
So
is there people listening right now?
yes, there. Oh, it's just super fans. Just super
Oh,
fans.
yeah. Just say hi,
Yeah.
everyone.
Hi. Yes, they can hear you. The Shaman says hi, everybody. Yeah, we just have a super fan chat today.
That's fine.
Yeah, so that we didn't have too many people. But the entering into or being
And
able.
another
Sorry,
one
go ahead.
said, you're too hard on yourself. They're talking still. They said,
Do you
you're too
do you
hard on
see how they
yourself.
hog the mic? Do you see how they all of them? I'm learning them, Ducky. I'm learning them like piece by piece. I am learning them. My other me's they do hog the mic. They do, and it's like we got it going on. We know what it is.
Well, you have one part of your being that's close to your spectrum that feels that it wants to call out the nonsense and the bullshit and the things that people are doing that's taking away from human life. So that one has really I don't want to say anchored, but it's anchored into you. It's more like it wants to push you to push a little bit because it feels a sense of humanity's laziness in wanting to really look at the things, and it wants to stir the pot. It knows that if it stirs the pot and it triggers people and it gets people in an uncomfortable place, that's when energy starts to move. So it's here to move energy by making people a bit uncomfortable or pulling layers back that people don't want to look at and see. And this also is the reason why you chose the family. It's saying the reason why you chose the family that you were born into is because you needed to be able to be in something that was so strict and had so many rules and so many fears. And you needed to learn how to peel back those layers, but you needed to come to it on your own through that process. So you needed to experience this intense structure and then how to dismantle that structure. Because if you didn't learn that, they said, you wouldn't have the capability of what you're going to be doing more in the future.
I got a reading yesterday, and they literally said, well, not exactly that, but similar to that. Like you need to take what you've been through, what you've learned, what you've deconstructed, and that's
Yeah.
what you're going to be sharing with the world.
Correct.
What is the difference? Might be silly question again here as well.
There is no such thing as a silly question. There's only
Awesome.
a question. Putting a judgment onto it doesn't support you, nor does it support the evolution of our consciousness. Continue.
I like that. Okay, you know what? I'm going to talk to you with confidence. Let's do this. The question is, difference between you and a tarot reader and a medium.
Okay. So I am a medium, but I don't
Okay.
call myself a medium because I can speak to all forms of spirit because I'm a spirit shaman. Tarot reader is someone who reads where you're at energetically and what choices you've made that are what we call structured choices. So if you go to a tarot card reader and they read you, they're reading your structured choices. You could leave the room, have a session with me, come back in and have a complete different reading. Right.
Hmm.
So for me, as a tarot reader, I don't look at one possibility. I focus on what possibility we want to experience and what you would have to do in order to get there. So the difference is when you go to tarot card reading, they're focusing on the structure you've already put in place energetically, and that's what's showing up in the cards, right? Depending on what card deck they use. With me, if I read something, I can look and see like, oh, well, there's that pathway, there's this pathway, there's this pathway, there's that pathway. There's all these different pathways. The question is, which one do you want? Because that's what choice and free will gives you, is the ability to choose. And some people don't even know that there are pathways that are existing for them that they could have. But because they're so focused on the structure they've already created, they can't see outside of that box. So that's the difference between, whereas a shaman, we show you what's outside of that box. We talk to the spirits that are already outside of that box, who've already created that path for you. And so they illuminate it for you. Do you understand? And
Yes.
and with a medium is someone who's channeling. They believe they're channeling, which in spirit, in shamanism, we know there's no such thing as channeling. Channeling is a human form of way that humans need to feel like they're pulling something in. So they feel like they're pulling it in. There's nothing pulled in. We're a part of everything and all. We are the totality of isness within isness. So there's nothing being pulled in. I'm not channeling. The spirits are there. I just need to talk to them. That's it. It's just like talking to someone on the street corner. That's the difference. With a channeler, they feel like they have to get into some kind of thing where they have to go into a trance state. They have to get into some theta waves and such is going to come through now. Let's see who's coming through. Like, I mean, that's great. If you need all that, that's
Right.
fine. But the more you understand that you are part of the all and everything, it's all here right now.
So you've seen timelines, you've seen different timelines. A timeline where humanity has achieved world peace. Have you seen it?
World peace, not in the way that you're thinking about it, but to the point where more love and more humanity has been awakened on the planet. Yes.
What did that look like?
So it comes through a great suffering that's going to happen, a lot of pain that takes place. And what happens is people start getting tired of it. And so they start rebuttaling and going against the ones who are causing that. And they start turning their power away from it. Right now, human beings don't understand their power yet because we're still operating in some fourth dimensional awareness. So humans are still learning about what energy means and how energy operates and what happens when you speak, what happens when you think, what happens when you do certain things. And all of these things are being appropriated for human beings in a way that supports them where they are in their evolution. I honestly believe by the time I leave the earth that there will be a lot more awakened consciousness. Will it be peace? No. Will it come later? Yes, way later, way past our lives, but closer to what people would deem to think is possible.
I because we had a conversation yesterday with a young lady, and she was saying it's not possible to achieve peace in society combined with free will without chaos and war. That's not possible.
Yeah, that's not true. To have utter peace, no, because there's always going to be someone who has some idea of disgruntledness or disbelief or whatever. But the majority of the collective will have chosen to create for the purpose of thriving their species, to make things easier for one another, and to create a substantial amount of resource to help where people are not having to go through starvation and so forth and all that. There will come a time at some point in our evolution that will happen, and it will also be superseded by other beings watching that. The more we begin to embrace our own species, then they will feel more apt to show themselves in full spectrum versus the ones who come here and they see what we do and then they report back and realize that we're not to be interfered with yet on a global level. They'll only show themselves to certain people who are open and not afraid, but to be like, hey, let me land a spaceship and let me introduce myself and our technology and so forth. No, because human beings still destroy themselves with each other. So they can't provide anything that of that high level because we would use it for utter destruction. Or people would say, oh, it's not fair that they got it and I didn't get it. So we're not there yet. We still have to learn how to embrace our own species from a place of love and acceptance, which can be possible. But that's the reason why we're going through what we're going through right now. This is the most amazing time to be in this evolution, because this is the time where all the things that have been stuffed under the rug are now coming up to be healed. And they can't be healed without it coming up. And so that's why you have these political figures who I talk about in my book. I call them the great agitators. They're sent to agitate people, to get them off their comfort zones and get them to start activating their abilities, their powers, their spiritual powers, their insight, what's right in harmony for humanity and what is not in harmony for humanity. Because it's not based on this right and wrong. It's based on what actually supports the species. And right now, we have a lot of people on the planet who are against their own kind because of color or sex or whatever. Those things don't matter to spirit. Those things are irrelevant. And the fact that human beings still make that a choice of difficulty for themselves, it's quite unfortunate, because the more we continue to perpetuate that energy, we limit ourselves from seeing the bigger picture, which is our species thriving and adapting to one another in a way where we don't need to go to war, because it doesn't need to be solved that way anymore. That's the old masculine monuments and energies falling away on the planet, which was called the destructive masculine, or should we say the dysfunctional masculine, because the dysfunctional masculine operates only in force, kill, destroy, annihilate, where the feminine energy is rising, which is to bring balance and to see where there's separation, to see where there is discord, to see where there is some form of lack of harmony, and bring things back into harmony. And so that, because the thing is, if the masculine energy is going to thrive, it requires the feminine energy to tell it how to thrive. It's not going to get it on its own. The feminine energy is supposed to tell the masculine what structures to build, and the feminine energy and the masculine is supposed to build structures that hold space for the feminine to do so. And so when women are being suppressed on the planet, it's a great harm to the evolution of the planet. And that is something that all shamans know about, or at least the ones who really are shamans, because they can hear it from the spirit world. It literally creates mass destruction when the feminine energy is being dominated over.
Basically, men to the left, Beyonce style, women to the front, basically meaning that.
Yeah. But even there's men who are gaining feminine perspective as well. So not all men will be going to the left.
Okay.
There will be a lot more men stepping forward and holding a different frequency for the feminine in them to wake up, because men aren't just masculine. We have feminine and masculine in us, but the masculine has been misused on the planet, the frequency of the masculine, to build structures that destroy versus structures that elevate. And so you can't build a structure unless the divine feminine. It's kind of like, if you ever seen the movie The Matrix.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So the architect was the masculine and the feminine was the oracle. Right. So the oracle knows what's going to happen, all the different possibilities. It sees those possibilities, but it's waiting for us to make the choice to choose the right possibility that leads to the great unfolding, or we do the opposite. right? And the oracle's there to teach us how to awaken our powers, our gifts, how to bend space and time, how to move beyond the structure that was put in place by the dysfunctional masculine that wants to enslave everyone and put them into the matrix and feed off of its energy instead of give back to the people the energy and let them make the choices that govern a world that is safe. And it's like in the matrix, the architect said, you need me to do this. This has to be done this way, because this is what needs to be done. And the oracle, was guiding everyone behind the scenes. And that's what the feminine does, right? The feminine is the part of your being that has the sacred wisdom of knowing. And the masculine is the one that looks at structure and patterns and the way things are built structurally. So that's why I tell people, when you use the masculine mind to analyze life, you're making a big mistake. You're supposed to feel into life, not analyze life. The feminine, there's a divine feminine inside of every single person that is waiting. Our divine mother, our mother God, waiting to say, hey, here's how you navigate this, right? But people are so busy going to their thinking, and that was all set up by science, because in the beginning, when people thought about the third eye, they thought about the third eye in the center of their head. Sorry, let's scratch that. Now they think about the third eye from the center of the head, which is the ajna point, but the real third eye is the heart. And if you open up the heart, you will see the truth. And that is the way of shaman. It's like when people in ancient times, like they were telepathic, they were highly empathetic, they could feel everything. There's nothing hidden from each other. Now we put so much in our thoughts, we don't connect to emotions. That's why people can, put on different faces and masks and disguises and camouflages. And people go like, oh my God, that person betrayed me. Well, you already knew they were going to betray you if you would have listened to your feminine oracle inside of you, but you're too busy listening to the architect, the mind, looking at structure and looking at how things are built. And you think, and that doesn't give you a lot of information, because you can look at a structure, but the oracle of the feminine in you goes into the structure, sees all of the weavings of the structure, how it got built, why it got built, what energy built it. And that creates a very different way in which to understand the world in which we live in.
I like that. What is humanity missing?
Humanity is missing at this time, I would say, acceptance, compassion for one another, but not even just for one another, but for themselves. Because everything that you see in humanity is a projection of the self. If the self is being self-regulated with love, kindness, compassion, understanding, appreciation, value, the energy that gets projected into the world will be completely different. So I think the what really humanity is missing is the self-awareness of that love, that compassion, that appreciation, that acceptance, because we are just, all we are literally are just magnifying glasses. We are just projectors. We are projecting into empty space and building that space based on our collective intelligence. If we were to operate from a place of love and kindness and compassion with ourselves, nurturing ourselves, of course you're going to nurture others, because you're nurturing yourself. You love yourself, you're going to love others. You keep enhancing love for yourself as an eternal process, not some finish line. You're going to keep seeing the possibility for other people to grow as well. The more compassionate you are, where you realize it's not about the thoughts of I'm not doing enough and I haven't done enough. It's I'm doing exactly what I need to do and I'm doing just fine, right? Letting go of these pressures, these expectations, these limitations that we create for ourselves through these pressures, then we will just not do that to other people. We will hold space for people to grow and to evolve. And it will create more space for people who can't evolve, who are stuck in their own psychosis that they've created for themselves out of their own fears, their own belief of power and whatever. And they'll start to lift the veil as well too, because they will feel the less pressure on them to be perfect. The idea of perfection really destroys humanity. Everyone messes up. No one's perfect. Right. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. And the fact that people actually think they can achieve some spiritual perfection or some idea of perfection limits the growth of their evolution.
I like that, because I wanted to go to religion next, where people strive for perfected spiritual connection with God.
Yeah, there's no such thing.
So do you feel
It even says in the Bible, in Matthew's, I think it's I can't remember exactly, but it's Matthew's. I know that for sure. I think it's Matthew's 3 something. Okay, anyway, in Matthew's it says, they ask Jesus, and they say, well, how can one enter the kingdom of heaven?
Oh,
He says,
yes.
to tell you the truth, in order to enter the kingdom of heaven, one must come as a child. For it is harder for someone who operates outside of being a child. For a child it's like the meek shall inherit the earth, not the ones who are strong and mighty. So all the things that you see religious people doing with their boistering and their judgments and their all of that, they're not inheriting the earth. The ones who inherited the earth are the ones who surrender, who are humble, who love, who are playful, who are childlike. They're the ones who will inherit the earth.
so the concept of devil, God, good, evil. We've talked about this before, but I wanted to break it down for the sake of the listeners. Is it more damaging to society to have those ideals?
Absolutely, because the realm of the underworld then gets trapped. The beings in there can't move forward, they can't move on, and then they end up becoming really upset and angry that they can't move forward because we're putting walls up with our projections. Projection is a very strong energy. And if you are not capable of dismantling people's projections, imagine our projections that we deal with already on earth, the amount of pressure, the stress, the anxiety, the fear, the worry, the doubt that puts on people in physical form. Imagine what it's doing on a spiritual form. So when we project demons and devils and all these kind of things, and it's a conglomerate of people doing it, we create walls and barriers in the inner planes that limit spirits who can't forgive themselves or have made mistakes in life or haven't been able to acknowledge, that they're eternal and that they're beautiful beings and they're loved. And yes, they made mistakes in human form, but human form is one experiment out of the many experiments, and there's no judgment from God, and God loves them unconditionally. It traps them in that belief system. So you project onto them demon and they become demon. You project on them a monster, they become a monster. And they don't want to be those things, but they end up becoming those things because we keep holding those projections. It's the same way people do with angels. People think angels look like human beings with 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 ears, and a nose with wings. That's not how angels really look like, but that's what makes people feel comfortable. So humans project that, and angels take on that form because energy takes on the form of other energies that are projected into it. And that's why when you receive God's love, God projects into you, and then all of God's love changes you to be the form of love because you're projecting into it. That's how I know when people have a strong relationship with God and they don't, because I can see what they're becoming. When you have a strong relationship with God, you keep getting flooded with so much love. All you want to do is share that love and give that love and be that love. But if you're not getting love from God and you're a person who's acting out, I'm like, oh yeah, of course you're not connected to your mother and father God, because you're projecting things that are not coming from the light. You're projecting words that do not lift and shift and radiate and illuminate and bring insight and inspiration and power magnified times a million to the people around you. You are making them feel bad, making them feel not good, not worthy. That all comes from lower dimensional beings who are trapped, because they're screaming out from these realms like, let us go, you're holding us hostage, and now we have to come to you and get your attention. And that's why you see more criminals and rapists and people on the planet, because they're being infused by these beings that can't move. And so they're trying to like embody and take over these bodies so that they can get their message across to us. And everyone thinks, oh, it's negative thoughts in my head. No, it's an entity that has merged with you because you've been having negative thoughts and you're matching its vibration. And so whatever vibration you match, that's what connects with you energetically. And I learned that in my life as a shaman through studying the dark arts and understanding religion and understanding different philosophies and really going deep into the understanding of the spirit world and communicating to these spirits, talking to them, not as, oh, you're a demon, down, Satan. No, but like, hey, What's going on? Why is this happening? Can't you guys move on? Why do you feel like you can't forgive yourself? Why are you still playing out these loops of the pain and the suffering that you've gone through when you had a human body? And then they tell me human beings keep projecting all of this onto us, and it keeps limiting us from moving forward. They're holding us hostage. And that's what the governments are doing, and that's what the system is doing. It uses beings who are trapped and makes deals with them that if they give them more money, more power, more whatever, that they can get free, and they never let them free. But that's dark sorcery, right? And that's what a lot of human beings don't realize is happening in our governmental systems with these sacrifices and all the things we see with kids and all the things that we see that's going on, with women and all these different things. These are all rituals to suppress these beings.
Wow. So whenever you see, because my spiritual awakening came from the fact that
I'm in a podcast. Love you.
But whenever I had my spiritual awakening, it really came from pastors, because I ran into a lot of narcissistic pastors.
Of course you did.
Who I felt, you're talking to God. How are you getting word from God and he's allowing you to be the way that you are?
Yeah, that's not coming from God. That's coming from the what we call, and this is what we say in shamanism, it comes from the God that the system made for people to worship. Remember, we are walking gods. We can create our own gods,
Mm-hmm.
That's
that makes
what
sense.
They're talking to. That's what they're doing. They're not talking to Jesus, because Jesus would say, why would you judge anyone? Why would you persecute? Why would you damn? Why would you do anything that's not pure love?
Mm-hmm.
It says, Jesus didn't say, it says, take up of my body, take up of my blood, right? Take up of me. What Jesus meant is, I am love, be that which I am. Even Jesus says, you shall do greater things than I. If you come with 2, come with 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that whole understanding of, multiplying the goodness of God's love on planet Earth. It doesn't mean, oh, by the way, you're righteous. Righteousness is not anything to do with Jesus. He wasn't into that. Judge people. Thou shalt not judge is one of the main commandments. There's a reason why you don't judge. Judge means you're afraid. Judge means you have projected your own fear as a disguise into someone else and persecuting them because you yourself cannot move past your own fears, right? Your own judgments of yourself, right? And so the judge, lest thee be judged, right? You judge yourself. That's what it is. And so a lot of these preachers and pastors who are operating that way are not really connecting with God at all. They're connecting with themselves, their ideals, their values that they see within their own belief systems, their own judgments, and their own ideas of what's right and wrong. It has nothing to do with God whatsoever.
Is that where narcissism comes from?
Narcissism, yeah. I mean, I would say narcissism is the idea of really not acknowledging people, but only seeing yourself.
And you're not, and when they're just, do you think in their subconscious they know they're talking to themselves? Or do you believe that they...
No, I think they believe that they're really that righteous, that they believe that the righteous part of their being makes it so that they believe what they are experiencing is truly God.
I have a couple more questions before I let you go, and I really appreciate you taking the time to sit and talk with me this morning. But I wanted to end the conversation with a couple questions about my mother. As I said at the end or the beginning of the podcast, she did pass the end of 2023. When she passed, I felt her walk through me. I felt her come and tell me, I'm gone. I was the last to find out that she had passed on, but I felt it.
Yes.
I felt that she orchestrated things or worked with my team to orchestrate things that I have gone through for a spiritual awakening. I believe she needed me to question my beliefs that I grew up in order to broaden my horizons.
Absolutely. How can I put it? My grandfather was a huge Seventh-day Adventist minister who turned his back on our roots in our family. in our traditions and shamanism from the Yoruban and African culture. We I mean, I can't tell you how many times I spoke to my grandfather and he would tell me I'm going to hell and all these different things. And, you know, my grandmother as well, you know, started listening to his sermons and preachings and whatnot. And I said, it's fine. You can believe what you want. And when you die, you can come talk to me and we can have a deeper conversation. And when he died and I spoke to him, he was like, you are so wrong. I was so wrong and you were so right. Not everything I believed was completely wrong. And I wasted so much of my life trying to be right that I didn't even get to enjoy my life. And I said, I understand, Grandpa. And that was a choice you made. So what usually happens is family members who have very strong convictions or strong viewpoints, when they get to the other side and they realize, oh my God, I was so off, they definitely will reach out to other family members and assist them in breaking those chains, breaking those ancestral limitations and bonds that have locked the family from growing and evolving even more spiritually because of the rhetoric and the ideas that they've placed upon the family or the bloodline of the family that have caused some form of trap, both consciously and spiritually and physically and emotionally. And so, yes, of course, she's going to do that. That is, I've seen that with so many families. That is a normal thing that spirits will do if they were so indoctrinated into some kind of idea. And then all of a sudden they get to the other side and they realize that they were completely left field.
Wow. And because I knew as I was awakening, I said, my mom is orchestrating this. She is orchestrating this. And am I there?
Okay, now you're
okay.
back.
There. Okay. But I knew. I said she's orchestrating this. She's putting this together. I can feel it. I can feel it. But her teaming up with my team, I felt that too.
If you want to see it that way, or you can see that she's a part of your team. But that's fine.
Okay. So family members can join your team, not just team up with your team. They can actually be on your team of guides.
They become like a support on top of what you're doing. Yes.
Okay.
They can make things happen for you if you align with them. That's why in a lot of cultures, Asian culture, African culture, many cultures believe in ancestors, connecting with the ancestors, having an ancestor altar, you know, putting fruit and certain things and offerings to ancestors, even though the best way to honor your ancestors is to do the things that they love doing, right? So like when I listen to jazz music, I know my father was a big jazz person. He's now an ancestor. So it's an honoring of him. Another woman, I said her father loved making spaghetti, so she'll make spaghetti with the kids and be like, we're honoring grandpa, you know. And they feel really good because it reminds them of their earth experiences through your experience. But honoring your ancestors, they're really great in supporting you and clearing your path and making things easier for you. Yes.
So that's why they say do something that they loved in memory of them. Wow.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Well, I have one more question for you.
Yes, of course.
From my sister and I, we have been wondering, where did she go? Where did she end up? I feel her here.
She's what you call heaven, or human beings call heaven. She's there, but she's here and she's everywhere because she's a multidimensional being. She's not one being in one place. That's again, remember I told you, human beings like to believe that it's one being going one place, going here or there. Past lives are here or there. No, it is all happening simultaneously.
Yes. Well, could you tell her that I love her? I don't think she'll hear it.
You. She knows you love her.
Yeah. That's been my knowing that I can communicate with her, and that's why I've really wanted to dive into, and as you say, surrender.
And your mom also had a perfectionist issue too. She's telling me. She said she was very perfectionist. She said she loves you. She's sorry for, you know, she was so caught up in wanting to be perfect that's why she was the way she was.
I'm sorry.
And she also said she tried. She really tried. But she, you know, she was just so scared. She had a lot of fear, she said.
I could see that. I told her that I'm picking her gloves up, you know?
But she said she's proud of you. And let me just hear what she's saying. Okay, she said she's proud of you, and and how far you've come with everything that you've gone through, and then she's mentioning her father. And she's saying that her father, it was really hard with her father, and that a lot of the structures and things that you've had to like move out of has been the fear of disappointment or the idea of disappointing. And she wants you to know you could never disappoint her, and that she loves you, and she sees things more clearer now, and she's here to support you.
Thank you.
And that she accepts you. And she accepts you.
Thank you. Wow. I was not going to get emotional today.
Oh, and she also wants me to tell you she understands that love is love, and don't ever think that that she would not accept you and appreciate you exactly as you are. Love is love, and she learned that when she got to the other side.
I have a girlfriend now.
Yeah. And she said love is love, and she accepts you. That's what she wants me to tell you.
Wow. Thank you. I really appreciate that. There are things that I know I can't enjoy with my father. And
No, you cannot.
I appreciate that. Wow. Wow. Shaman, thank you so much. I think that is a perfect place to end our conversation. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to come and speak to us, and the advice that you've given to just surrender. I've taken that in multiple meanings along my journey, and I hope we get to have so many more conversations.
Absolutely. Of course, I enjoy our conversations, and I
Yes.
enjoy sharing from my heart because I love humanity so much, and I love people, and I just want people to know how loved they are by Mother and Father God. They've never not been loved.
Right.
Any thought you have in your mind that makes you believe that you're not lovable is absolutely incorrect malfunction in thinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have to deconstruct the indoctrination that society has really given us in order to see
Exactly.
broader. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. And to all of our listeners that are listening right now in our super chat, super fan only chat, this will be posted on our YouTube channel, and we will have clips on our TikTok of today's conversation with Shaman Durek. But this isn't the last you've seen of him. He stops by and has conversations in our live all the time. So wanting to hear more, go ahead and hit a follow, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment.
And
for Shaman
your
Durek.
mom also said that she's the one who led me to your page, that she was a part of it, about linking us up.
I knew it. Intuition. I knew it. I knew it. Intuition. Because I said, my mom, she loved when I gave interviews, and I could feel her say, watch when you interview this one. And it's, wow. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, my dear.
Truly is. And I love how she's not only brought a big interview, but she's brought me a new friend. I
Yes,
really
that's
appreciate
correct.
that. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
me
that.
too. I love you, darling.
I love you too, Tucky. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And like I said, this isn't the last that you've seen of our conversations. I look forward to having many, many more. Once
Yeah,
again,
and Martha wants to be on your podcast as well, she said. So we have to figure how you
I
plan on doing
am. Look, for the first time that I met a princess, I bowed. I feel very, very silly about it. So I feel like I need to make it up by having a really friendly conversation with Martha. So I would love to have her on here.
Yeah,
Just
she
to
would
have
love
conversation.
that. She definitely would love that. Yeah,
Yes.
she said so.
Well, thank you so much again. We'll catch you guys next time on another episode of Church of Anon, Confessions of a Pastor's Daughter. Until we meet again, let the church say, Anon.